was doing he was a regional person for the entire country. Oh yeah, he is. I thought he was, he's doing that too. So he's the president of Madison as well? Yep, he is. So, doing it all, and we appreciate you. And so a couple quick things. Number one, I was here, but I heard about Ron and Senator Perdue, Senator Johnson, you guys know, remember, Johnson and Senator Perdue were here, and I was around. I want to come by and do just a couple quick things. Number one, I want to say thank you for all the work that you do. The college Republicans are the backbone of our party. I was college Republican president too, and I loved it. I had some of my best memories in college where it was in the college Republicans. It's so much fun. But I really kind of learned about campaigning as a college Republican, and I knew how much I was appreciated. At least when I was there, I always felt appreciated by the people running because they knew they were dead without you, and that you are the super volunteers of our campaigns across the state of Wisconsin. So number one, thank you. We have a lot to fight for. And I don't want you to think for a second that we don't understand the responsibility of leading a party, the responsibility we have to try to make you proud of our party, but most importantly, to win. And that's what we're here for. That's what the party exists for. A lot of people, I think, and maybe it's because we do a lousy job of explaining to people, what does the party do? You had the RPW up there, one of the best state parties in the country. I was chairman of the Wisconsin party. I promise you, I've done every job there is in the party. The yard signs, the phone calls, making sure there was enough pizza for the event, everything, including being state party chairman. Running a state party, running a national party, it's not the things that most people want to talk about. Because what I'm in charge of, it's not being in the TV on Sunday morning. My job generally is being in charge of a lot of boring stuff. But it's the things I really like. The data, the infrastructure, ground game, absentee ballot, early vote. All of those activities is what a good, competent party does. So it doesn't matter whether it's for Ron Johnson, or for Sean Duffy, or for Paul Ryan, Scott Walker, Donald Trump, whoever it is, the party's there for the nominees of our party. And we have an opportunity here to make sure that we don't have 4 years of Hillary Clinton in the White House. When you have a change election, oftentimes it's really just a battle between change and risk. How much risk am I going to take to get the change that I want? And that's always the battle. It was the same battle that Ronald Reagan faced in 1980. They said the same thing about him, being an actor, and what does he know? And this guy shouldn't be trusted. And can you believe he's going to have his finger on the trigger? But the American people came together in the last 2 weeks, or 1 week, and said, you know what? I can see him being president. And the bottom fell out of Jimmy Carter in 1980. This is a change election, but it is about risk. And if it is about risk, you look at Hillary Clinton. She is the risk candidate. She was given the opportunity in a way that none of us, and very few people in the entire world, had the opportunity to deal with as Secretary of State. She talks about Putin, wants to shove it on Donald Trump, Putin this and Putin that. The reality is, she's the one that screwed up Russia. She's the one that hit the Russian reset, which we know now is a big joke. She's the one that caused Russia to have 20% of the world's uranium. Well, on her watch, she's the one that pocketed, through Bill, $500,000 in giving speeches to Russian-affiliated groups. She owns the mess of Russia. You look at Libya, Benghazi, the line in Syria. Not to mention, we haven't even talked about her emails yet. I'm not going to bore you with that. But the truth is, she was given the opportunity and she failed. And it's up to us to do our part in making sure that she doesn't get into the White House. I'm a big fan of Ron Johnson. And that's the real reason why I wanted to come over here, just to tell you what a great guy this person is. I don't think we have a lot of people like Ron in Washington. And I can assure you, this is not the typical person that becomes somebody and shows up in Washington. He serves with a pure pure heart, one of the most sincere people that you'd ever meet. I'm at the lunches on Thursdays with all the senators, and he's different. And he's the same guy that was manufacturing plastics in Oshkosh. He's still that way today. And a lot of Washington, at least most of it, almost all of it, drives him bananas. Because it's not how business people think. It's not how business people act. And it's maddening. But we need more people like Ron in Washington. And we can't survive, I don't think, without. You look at Russ Feingold. I mean, this guy's just addicted to being there. Some people just want to be there. They want to be people. They don't want to do things. They just want to be something special instead of doing something special. And that's what he's all about. Together, though, is what we need your help with. Because we've got to win these races up and down the ticket. And doing that work is like how I started, is being good at a lot of boring things, but a lot of important things. And we can't do it without you. And so I promise you, I know, Vince Lombardi said the only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary, and that's what this is. It's just a lot of work. It's a lot of grinding work that we rely on you so much to help us with. One of the people that I got to know in the Senate is David Perdue out of Georgia. And sometimes you wonder whether people that get elected, especially at that level, in the United States Senate, the great Senator.
I didn't know Reince, I have to tell you, we all say nice things to each other because we're in a political environment right now where the approval rating in the Senate is like 7%. And that's only that high because our mothers voted for us. I want to tell you about Reince. You should be screaming about having an alumnus like this guy. He has made a real difference, and it's the kind of difference that you'll never know about. It's the kind of difference when he goes to somebody and says, look, you need to change this or do this, and they do it because they respect him, because he has stepped up and done the tough things. It's very difficult to run a party like this. But look at the results. When you see, some of you are making phone calls right now, that doesn't happen. That infrastructure doesn't happen without him raising a lot of money nationally. That money comes back into the state and funds things like that. I wouldn't have gotten elected otherwise. My job tonight is to introduce Ron. But before that, I'm going to take a liberty. You guys are on a campus, and you are the future of our country. I get so encouraged when I come out and see you guys on a rainy night come down here to hear Ron. You didn't know Reince was going to be here. You don't know me from Adam. But here's the truth. In the last 100 years, you're on campus, and you got to defend why you're part of the Republican Party. Well, here it is. In the last 100 years, the Democrats have had 3 supermajorities. The first gave us the New Deal, second, Great Society, and third, Dodd-Frank and Obamacare. I'm just a business guy, but I can put a defeat of those 3 supermajorities. Most of the responsibility for this financial catastrophe we've got right now. And the irony of that is that even with spending those trillions of dollars, those progressive policies have failed the very people that claim to champion, the working poor, the working men and women of America. You realize the poverty rate today, after spending trillions of dollars behind the Great Society's war on poverty, the poverty rate today is the same as it was in the 60s. It's outrageous. You realize this is the weakest economic recovery in the last 70 years. Go get a job today. Come back and tell me how easy it is to get a job today in this environment. We've allowed 4 million women under this president to fall into poverty. It's outrageous. So when I ran for office, I'd never run for anything. Honestly, when I was in college, I didn't know how to spell politics or Republican. I wasn't Republican, I was conservative. I wish now I had gotten involved at your age, because I feel like I would know so much more now about how to make a difference. But I stood up, and Ron came down and helped me. He didn't know me from Adam. Ron came down, and we did this phone call, town hall. And it was really interesting. There was a small business group. They had about 7,000 people in the state of Georgia. We did a 200 or 300 people in America. 4,000 people got on this phone call, guys, to hear Ron Johnson. Because there are so few people in the United States Senate who understand business and understand the free enterprise system. He's also, in his first term in Congress, first term in the United States Senate, chairman of Homeland Security. They passed 83 bills in that committee in a bipartisan way. 28 of those have gotten in the law and gone to the president and he signed them law. 28. We voted under Harry Reid in 2013 and 14. Harry Reid's Senate voted on 15 total bills in the United States Senate. He alone passed 28 through his committee, got them to the White House, signed the law. Those are the kind of results that business guys know how to do. That's what we're held accountable for. The reason I came to Wisconsin today, I didn't know Reince was here. What a delight and what an honor to have the head of the RNC here tonight talking to you guys. I mean, this is such a big deal. I hope you all get your pictures with him and all that, because this guy is changing the face of America. Ron Johnson is another guy changing the face of America. He's already shown his leadership up there. I'm honored to serve with him. I'm humbled that he would let me come here and tell the story today. This is a stark contrast between directions for our country. That's why this election is so critical right now. One side wants to double down on these failed policies that produce these economic results that we know are failing. This debt is outrageous. You should be so irate with people our age because of this debt. You're going to have to own it. You know what your share of that debt is? For every family in America, your share of our debt today, 20 trillion, plus all the unfunded liabilities coming at us, 100 trillion in the future, is $1 million. So when you graduate, I don't know what your student loan is. I haven't done it. I worked my way through college too. But it wasn't $1 million. Can you imagine over your lifetime trying to pay down $1 million debt? Well, that's what your share of this debt is. You should be outraged with people on this campus who want to vote Democrat because they're going to support more debt. Only they say, well, they're telling us we'll get you the education. No, they won't. They're going to have to turn around and pay for that debt sooner or later. But I want to introduce Ron Johnson. He is the real deal. We have got to get him elected. 36 United States senators have been in elected office for more than 30 years. The opposition in this race, Feingold, has been up there 34 years in elected office. Why would Wisconsin send back a guy who's partly responsible for this financial catastrophe we have right now when we send back an outsider, somebody that's already proven in 6 years to make a difference? So I want to come tell you what his vision for America is, because that's why you're here. I'm so glad you're here. Ron, come up and give these guys some.
What you just witnessed, you saw three people of tremendous integrity. Alex and Matt, Jeanette and Scott. There's a family of people of courage and integrity. Thank you for everything you've done. Your family's done. Reince, person of integrity, a Wisconsin guy, who built his party, created the structure so that people like Scott and myself could tap into it and actually win elections, and you're going to be part of that structure yourself. Person who's worked his tail off, do the same thing on the national government, or the national party. And David Perdue is exactly what the founders envisioned. A citizen legislator. Somebody who had a full career, raised a family, brought that perspective of a citizen of this United States to Washington, D.C. to start grappling with these enormous problems. It's kind of my background as well. David mentioned the word vision. Anybody here in pre-law? Anybody here in business? Anybody in government, politics? Okay. Well, you've heard of our founding documents, right? The way I like looking at it as a business guy, the way I like looking at our founding documents is like I look at a business agreement. You got a letter of intent, and you got the contract. Now, as a business guy, I didn't like, Reince is a lawyer. Okay, I mean, lawyers do the contracts. That's the complex stuff. You rarely read the full contract. You just go to the parts the lawyers tell you to look at, and you got to really make a decision on it. I concentrate on the letter of intent. That really lays out, in layman's terms, what you're trying to accomplish in the complexity of the contract. So, in terms of our founding documents, Declaration of Independence is the letter of intent. Beautifully written document. And then, of course, the Constitution is the complex document. It is complex. It's short, but it's complex. It's subject to interpretation. I want to concentrate on the Declaration of Independence because it is beautifully written. But included in that letter of intent is what I would consider the most wondrous vision statement for self-governance ever created by mankind. You've all heard it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. I love that. It's just so obvious that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator, with certain inalienable rights. Among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Pursuit of happiness, those are your God-given rights. Those rights are at risk. This election, I would argue every election, is about freedom, about individual and personal liberty, the thing that made this country great. It's been 240 years since our founders, geniuses, fought for their freedom. Now we find ourselves in our own struggle for our own freedom. And I'm just saying that's sad. It's why Reince is involved. It's why David got involved. It's why I got involved. It's why you're getting involved. Now, I like pointing out, particularly young people, the pursuit of happiness, that's no frivolous thing. That's a serious quest. It's not one that's easily achieved. Anybody here aspire to live in your parents' basement and be dependent on? It's starting to sound pretty good. I'm glad, except for the cheap seats over here. Nobody raised their hand. Of course not. Of course not. You'll never achieve happiness being dependent on anybody. That's true of any human being. You don't want to be dependent on your parents. You don't want to be dependent on a federal government. And you know why you don't want to be dependent on them? So if you live in your parents' basement, they're going to have a fair amount of control over you. You're not going to have the freedom that as an individual human being you desire. It is your God-given right. Well, nobody wants to be or should want to be dependent on the federal government, because if you're dependent on the federal government, your freedom is taken away from you. What's been happening over the last few decades, the rise of liberalism, the fact that the radical left has taken over the university system, is our freedoms are receding. The first speech I ever gave was at a tea party, and one of the points I made was that for a brief moment in time, under Ronald Reagan, tax rates were 28%. And I said, also for a brief moment in time, we were 72% free. It's a direct correlation. Peggy Newton wrote a column talking about the gathering of genius. And she talked about Margaret Thatcher and Pope John Paul and Ronald Reagan, these three geniuses that came together at a unique moment in time and defeated the Soviet Union, set millions of human beings free, set us on a path to hopefully free other people in this world. Just talked about our founding fathers, and I actually had dinner with Peggy and said, you missed an important part of that gathering of genius. Because again, our Declaration of Independence was written in 1776. Anybody here Adam Smith, The Wealth of Nations? You know when that was published? It was published in 1776. The reason you live in such an affluent society in freedom is because our founding fathers had that spark of genius that created this form of government, limited government. Those enumerated powers, again, that was primarily designed to protect your individual liberty, combined with Adam Smith and the economists, who finally put in writing and described the marvel of a free market enterprise system. We have that invisible hand magically, through billions of individual consumer transactions, creating a marvel of capital allocation and free market capitalism. There's that combination of free market capitalism and a limited government designed to protect freedom so that individuals pursuing happiness in freedom could aspire, could create, could innovate. And as a result, Americans, unlike any other country in the history of mankind, gave individuals the individual liberty and freedom to do just that. And guess what? They did it. Take a look at any period of American history and marvel at at how quickly we progressed because we were free men and free women. Why aren't we progressing at the rate we should be? Why is our economy stagnant? Why are wages stagnant? It's because our freedom is being reduced. Why are you so far in student debt? It's because the federal government got involved in higher education. It poured $2.1 trillion of money into a limited supply market. You don't have to believe me on this. Go look at a study by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. It said that for every dollar the federal government poured into higher education for the student loans and student grants, tuition increased by the 65 to 55 cents. Let me do a little calculation on the count. You take $2.1 trillion, you multiply that times 60%. You know what that comes out to? $1.3 trillion. You know what the level student loan debt outstanding is right now? $1.3 trillion. So the federal government, trying with the best of intentions to make college more accessible, made it so much more unaffordable, and who's left straddled with the negative unintended consequence of that good intention? You are. You realize the cost of college has increased to 2.5, 2.6 times rate of inflation? Because of that. Because of well-intentioned government policy that just screwed things up and made college so much more unaffordable. We are fighting, and we're going to continue to be in the struggle for our own personal liberty and freedom. Like David was talking about, the $20 trillion debt right now on an individual basis, just the $20 trillion is $60,000 per person in America. In Greece, by the way, a bankrupt society, their share of their federal debt's around $35,000. I mean, how can that be? Well, we're the world's reserve currency. We can actually print money for the time being, but that's not going to go on forever. The housing bubble burst. The housing bubble was caused by bad government policy, not a lack of regulation. There's all kinds of regulation. It was caused by bad government policy, and that bubble burst. You know who was hurt most? The individuals who designed to help. Hispanic families, African American families lost more than 50% of their net worth because that's where the net worth was held up. They were harmed by bad government policy. And now they're less free because they don't have any assets. Because the federal government had bad policy. So what I'm asking all of you to do is understand what's exactly at stake in this election. It's your individual liberty. It's your future. It's your prosperity. There's nothing wrong with going out and working for yourselves. Because in Adam Smith's free market economy, that invisible hand, by going out and doing that, by creating and innovating and developing a company, and here's the secret, making a profit. That's not evil, that's necessary. It's how people get higher wages, better benefits, better job security, better job opportunities. It's how we efficiently allocate capital so that we as Americans, 5% of the world's population, create and are responsible for 20 to 25% of the world's goods. That's a marvel. No other country in human history has even come close to that kind of achievement. And that's all at risk. I've actually yammered on far longer than I thought I would. Sorry about that. It's a U.S. Senate. It's an occupational hazard for you to do that. Let me leave you with this final thought. I stepped up to plate in 2010 because I was panicked for this nation. I've been there 6 years. I'm more concerned. Trust me. And I literally could ruin your night if I haven't already. Laying out the problems, the challenges, the threats we as Americans face that we're not facing up to, that we're not addressing, that we're not solving. But what haunts me, what caused me to run for second term when I never intended to do so, was what President Obama said right before he got elected the first time. He said, in 5 days, we're going to fundamentally transform America. Now, we have those problems, we have those threats. They need to be addressed, they need to be admitted to. They need to be solved and fixed. Fundamentally transforming this nation is not what was required. What was required is returning to our founding principles of a limited government that leaves us alone, that lets you as an individual create and innovate and build. And when you do that, when you've worked hard, you get to keep as much of those hard-earned labors as possible, and we give government only what it needs to defend our nation's secure border, to create basic infrastructure. That's what government ought to be limited to. It's far exceeded those enumerated powers. So David, Reince, me, we're fighting for this country, but we're really fighting for you. When this debt bomb bursts, I'm probably going to be too old enough to even worry about it. I'll be drooling in some corner somewhere. I'll be 6 feet under. Something I know? This is about your future, and what I'm trying to get you guys is to get fired up. Because if I were you, I would be so. I'm a little fired up. Okay? Bottom line, and let me close out this way. It's the way I closed out my first speech. And get this, understand this. This is a fight for your freedom. It's not somebody else's fight. It's your fight. It's a fight that you better win. You better win. So are you fired up? Are you going to get out there and work 14 days and fight for your freedom? Or are you just going to cave? I don't think we're going to cave. I think we're going to fight. So I hope it didn't scare you. I hope